Howdy folks, this is Justro at Metcalf Mills out here under the peach tree bringing you Fun Fact Friday, because this day and time, facts is hard to come by and they're getting harder all the time. I got a good one for you today. It's a little different. It's some good facts about the ways of life in the olden days here in Appalachia. I hope you enjoy it. Today's Fun Fact Friday is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be kind of a little bit of a story time and a Fun Fact Friday all in one. I'm looking forward to sharing this with you. This week we had to go to a funeral, which was my grandma's half sister, and how that got to be was when Grandma was born, right after that, I don't know how long after that, her mother died. And Grandpa, after that, he married Grandma's mother's sister. So he married sisters. When Grandma's mother died, he married her sister. And this was one of Grandma's sisters from that marriage. And we got to see a lot of the family that we hadn't seen in years, or maybe some of them we hadn't ever met because they lived out of state down south. And boy, I tell you, it was a sad occasion, but it was a blessing too to get to see everybody. And if you can say a funeral's a blessing, that one was. Just getting to see everybody and talk to them and visit with them, and they're all so special. And me and my girls, we really enjoyed seeing everybody. But one of the boys, Jury, him and Dad was pretty close and talked quite a bit there before Dad died, and about all of them, they watch my channel here on YouTube, and they enjoy it, and they tell me, we enjoy what you put out, and it's like the old days, and we try to do a lot of things here that our people's been doing here in these mountains for a long, long time, and we carry it on and we share it. And it's a way of life for us. I can't think about living no other way. That's just the way I was raised. And that's just the way I am. Well, Jury, he told me some stories, and boy, I tell you, it's special. And one thing he told me was, see, back in them days, back in the olden days, they didn't have telephones or nothing. If you was going to go visit somebody at home, you just went. Well, sometimes they wouldn't be at home. They'd be gone somewhere else. So Jury said, when they, if they come back home, had been gone, and somebody took one of the setting chairs on the porch or a rocking chair, and they leaned it up against the wall of the house. They just turned it around, I guess, and set it, or just leaned it back, leaned it up against the wall of the house. That meant we've been here. He said they'd come home and come up on the porch and they'd see a chair leaned up against the wall of the house. He said, well, somebody's been here. They didn't know who, but they had company come and they'd missed them. So they... It says, we've been here, but Jury said we didn't know who it was, but somebody had come to see us. I got a kick out of that story. If I'd ever heard about that, I had forgot about it. And I thought yuns would enjoy hearing that too. So that's one of the fun facts for today on Friday. And another one is, like I said, back in the olden days, nobody had telephones. You couldn't call and tell nobody nothing. So Jury said that they would, if somebody in the community died, somebody would go to the church and they'd ring the church bell, I think ever how many years they was old. I think is what he told me, if I remember right. Now I don't want to make a mistake and misspeak about it. If I remember right, they'd ring that bell ever how many years old the person was that died. And they could hear that bell. You see, it was quiet then. There wasn't no televisions. They weren't no radio. Well, they might have been radios, but they didn't play them just maybe of the night. They didn't waste their battery. And playing a radio during the day, that was a luxury to listen to the radio. So they waited till night, everything I've ever heard about it. And they'd turn their radio on late in the evening and listen. Maybe the Grand Ole Opry or something like that, you know. And I've heard Daddy talk about that a lot when he was growing up. On Saturday nights, about the only time they played the radio. So, but getting back to what I was saying, they weren't nothing to distract. They wouldn't really no noise or nothing to distract. And in a community, you could hear that church bell ringing all over the place. You know, if you think about it, you go out somewhere where it's real peaceful and quiet, one little sound, well, you're going to pick up on it and hear it. It's going to stick out like a big sound because nothing else is going on. You know, there might be a cow bawling or something like that, chickens clucking or cackling, you know, but other than that, that's about it. So in the community, going about their days and their lives, well, they'd hear that church bell. And they didn't know who died until they talked to somebody about it, but his point was they'd go ring that church bell, and then the next day, the next morning, the men in the community would all get their shovels and tools and things, and they'd go to the church, and they'd meet there. And maybe they didn't know who had died till they got there, and then they'd go dig their grave the next day after they heard them church bells ringing, see? So that story meant a lot to me, just the way people was here, and I'm just really thankful that Jury shared that with me so I could share it with young'uns, because it's really a blessing to me. I love hearing them old stories like that, talking about the olden days. I've always been that way. I've always loved it. And I'm really glad that I can share a little bit of it with you. And I want to give a special holler out to Jury. That's Jury Hensley. And you know, he's not ever lived close by, but I've got to talk to him on the phone and see him when he's up this way. Same with Daddy. Him and Daddy would talk on the phone pretty regular before Daddy died. And I just really appreciate him. And I'm sure he'll see this at some point. And I want you to know, Jury, I really appreciate you. And I also met somebody else. That's Georgia Adventurer. If you like knives, he does a lot on knives. And you'll especially like his channel. And he carries the Sodbuster a lot. He likes Sodbuster knives. That's what I carry for my everyday pocket knife that I use. And he had one on there that looked to me like a bone handle Sodbuster. I'd never seen one before, so that tickled me to see that. And go check him out, Georgia Adventure. Once a week, like on Monday, he'll do a devotion. I really enjoyed it this week. It was, sometimes it's on Monday and sometimes it's not, and I fully understand that because life is busy and there's a lot going on, and sometimes you just don't have time to sit down and do that. So I think you'll really enjoy that channel. You can check him out, Georgia Adventurer, and tell him old Justro sent you over there. Another thing, there's been a couple people in the last week or two have asked about the Grain Mills for Communities project, and they just wanted to know, you know, what's going on. When am I going to get these mills out? And that's pretty much what they ask. And my answer is the same as it was last time I gave it. I'll get them out just as soon as I can. I've got a lot of responsibilities. Those of you that have watched my channel a long time, you know what I'm doing and what I have to do. I got 2 daughters that I'm raising by myself, and we grow most of our own food, and I've got a lot of other work besides my new grain mills. And it just, when I try to give a time frame on something, it's really hard to give an accurate one, especially on this project, because number one, this is something that I had never done before, and I didn't know what all was going to be entailed. A lot of things you cannot foresee. You figure it out when you get to it. You see it when you get to it. And there's been a lot of things that way with this project. But I just want y'all to know there's nothing slacked off. There's nothing backed off. The project is going on just like it always has. In spite of everything, it's going on. And like I said, I can't give you an exact date when I'm going to have mills out there for sale, but it will happen just as soon as I can make it happen. And I want to say again, I appreciate each and every one of you that has supported this project, that supports our channel here on YouTube, me and the girls. We really appreciate each and every one of you. And you know, with a lot of things, when you're trying to do something good and something positive, there's always naysayers and people saying this and that. They're just unhappy with themselves. And don't listen to these people blowing that heavy smoke, because they don't know what they're talking about. And I can't tell you but so much. One day I'll be able to show you. So I appreciate each and every one of you for sticking with us. I look forward to sharing all that we're doing with you, and I can't wait. This is Justro and the girls. They're not here, but they're here at Metcalf Mills. I look forward to seeing y'all next time.